Welcome to GBC Updates for Friday, the 30th of October. A few things to let you know about as we continue to move forward as a community of faith. While we don't know exactly what's going to be happening with the restrictions around meeting together, we're already making plans for Christmas with what we do know. And I wanted to share with you a couple of things that I know I've mentioned here and there, but have never really kind of fully explained. As you are no doubt aware, we hold a really big Carols on the Park every year down at Seymour Shaw, at least for the last several years at Seymour Shaw. And earlier this year, our committee, which is led by Rob Sherry and do great work, had a long discussion about whether we thought carols would go ahead as per usual. It was fairly obvious, even in the early part of the year, that that was unlikely. And the committee made a very important decision that we would pre-record our carols service this year, and that we would make that available as widely as possible. So instead of Carols in the Park, we are calling this Carols in Your Backyard. And the idea is simple, that on Sunday, the 20th of December, the same Sunday that we normally would have held Carols in the Park, that we are going to encourage all of you to invite a few people around to your house and do carols in your backyard, or your living room, or your driveway, or your balcony, or wherever you want to do that together. We've lined up Colin Buchanan, who's one of our regular guests. We're actually going to be filming a large section of the Carols event in his backyard. And we've also got Emma Pask and our fantastic Carols band, who are going to be recorded in a slightly different location. We're going to put a whole bunch of effort into making this just a fantastic event for you to invite friends to. But we also took the really significant step of offering this to other churches. We're offering it to other Baptist churches in particular, but any church in the local area. We're still working through kind of letting people know about that. And to that end, this is going to be kind of a generic event. It's Carols in Your Backyard. We're not going to talk about Gymea Baptist Church per se. We just want to give this as a gift to as many churches and communities as we can. It'll still be available at the same time, through the same server, all of that kind of stuff, and we're working out the details as we go. Filming begins for that kind of in the middle of November, so we're really starting to move towards the kind of the pointy end of our planning for this. But if you know people in other communities of faith who regularly hold carols events that they're no longer going to be able to do, and you want to let them know about this opportunity, by all means do so. We're going to be releasing event details as we get closer to that event, obviously, promotion material and other information about it. But I'm really excited about the opportunity that we have to do something together, even if we're not able to all gather at Seymour Shaw this year. Second thing that we're hoping to do this Christmas, or are planning to do, so it's beyond hope now, we're into the planning stage, is to actually add to the light displays of the Sutherland Shire. One of the things that people do, of course, around Christmas is they travel to various locations, certain streets in certain suburbs, and they look at the Christmas displays, which are usually completely over the top. This year, we're planning to do something similar here at the opening of our building, the kind of the driveway through. We're going to be setting up what's going to look a little bit like Bethlehem Village. It's as close as we can come to a live nativity scene, as we're not going to be able to do that as we normally do at carols. The whole idea is to tell the Christmas story in lights in front of our church. And so we're going to be working through the details of that. We've got a small team that are already kind of in the production stage of that. We've been working towards that for a while now. But what we're hoping is that this will just be another gift to our community, a way for us as a community of faith to share the good news of Jesus, just as kind of another place where people can stop and park in our parking lot and walk through, or drive slowly past, or whatever they want to do, but see, again, the Christmas story, and just have one more thing that feels a little bit normal and familiar this Christmas. I'm really looking forward to both of those events. The kind of the Bethlehem Village, as we're kind of tentatively calling that right now, will require some volunteers when we get closer to the day. So when we get closer, look out for those opportunities to serve, and keep those opportunities in your mind as you kind of move towards Christmas with your family and friends. Speaking of another opportunity to serve, last week I mentioned that Margie Robertson is beginning her role. Actually, she begins today, Friday, the 30th of October, in her role overseeing our volunteer team. And we're super excited to have Margie join us. But we're also releasing another opportunity to join our team, a two-day a week role in our operations space. A couple of months ago, we announced that Brett Robinson, who is our student pastor and operations manager, has accepted a pastoral role at Wyong Baptist Church on the Central Coast. We're delighted for Brett and the family. It's a wonderful opportunity in a good church, and I know that they'll be a great blessing. Of course, it means that we're a little bit sad that they're going to be moving on. And one of the things that we have chosen to do as a leadership is to seek to fill, in particular, the operations role. Really significant space. And there's a couple of different ways that we're doing that, but there is a two-day a week role to serve and be a part of our team in that role. It's a paid position, and you can actually have a look at the role on GBC links. We're making that available in the e-news as well. If you know someone who's looking for a couple days work, would love to work in a church, would love to work in that operational administrative space, we'd love to hear from them. We want any kind of expressions of interest by the 13th of November. So keep that in mind. We're hoping to appoint that role by the end of the month, end of November that is, in order that they can start the transition with Brett before he and the family move to Wyong. And just finally wanted to remind you, as we mentioned last week, that we're going to be publishing a reoccupancy plan, kind of the steps that we need to take in order to be able to restart our face-to-face services. The trigger for that is still going to be the move from 4 square meters to 2 square meters, and so we're going to be moving towards that. The team has made a great start on that plan. It is really detailed already, and version 1 will be published next Friday, which will allow you to kind of see exactly the sorts of things that we're thinking through, but also will allow you, if you kind of revisit it every so often, to see our progress towards that. We want to begin not just to have a plan, but actually start working towards it, so that when the day comes that restriction changes, we will be as ready as possible to reboot our face-to-face services. We do hope to see you online this Sunday. It is how we are gathering together. And as we've been encouraging you for the last several months, if you know some people that you haven't seen for a while, you think, I'd really like to see them again, why don't you invite them around and participate in the service together? Maybe share a meal before or after that. If you've got kids, get everyone together and be part of what we're doing as a community of faith. I really appreciate your prayers in this time as well, as we're getting closer to the end of the year, as we're continuing to work through our plans for next year, and just aware of the uncertainty that we continue to face. And we don't really know when restrictions may change or may not change. We're not entirely certain what next year will hold. But I'd really appreciate your prayers as we work through some of the appointments that we need to make, as we work through some of our goals and plans for next year, to be as faithful as we can be to what we believe God has called us to, what He's invited us to through the power of His Holy Spirit. So hope to see you Sunday, and until then, God bless.